was supposed to be an adventure. 9 experienced hikers embarking on a ski trek through the remote Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia in January 1959. They were young, skilled, and fearless, led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student. The group set out from Vijay, the last inhabited settlement before their journey into the wilderness. Their goal was to reach Otorten Mountain, but they never made it. What happened to them remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries of the 20th century.
Weeks later, when the group failed to return as scheduled, search teams were dispatched. What they found was beyond comprehension. The hiker's tent was discovered on Koletsiakol, or Dead Mountain, slashed open from the inside. Their belongings, boots, jackets, food, were left behind as if they'd fled in a panic. Barefoot tracks led away from the campsite into the snow-covered forest. It was clear that something had terrified them so much that they abandoned their shelter in sub-zero temperatures without proper clothing or gear. The first bodies were found at the edge of the forest near a cedar tree. 2 men lay under its branches, dressed only in underwear, their hands and feet frostbitten and blackened by the cold. Nearby was evidence of a small fire they'd tried to start. Desperation etched into every detail. 3 more bodies were discovered between the tree and the tent, positioned as though they'd been attempting to crawl back to safety. But it wasn't until months later that searchers uncovered the remaining 4 hikers in a ravine deeper in the woods, and that's when things took an even darker turn.
The condition of these last bodies defied explanation. One woman's tongue had been ripped out. Another had severe chest fractures, as though he'd been hit by an immense force. Yet there were no external wounds to explain the injuries. Another hiker's skull was fractured. The strangest detail: traces of radiation were found on their clothing. Investigators ruled out an avalanche early on. There was no sign of one, and it couldn't explain the bizarre injuries or radiation. The official cause of death for all 9 hikers was listed as a compelling natural force. But what that force could have been remains unknown. Theories abound, each more unsettling than the last. Some believe secret military testing was responsible, perhaps a missile or sonic weapon that disoriented and injured the hikers before they fled in terror. Others suggest they encountered something supernatural, a creature or entity native to Dead Mountain that drove them mad with fear. UFO enthusiasts point to reports of strange lights seen in the sky around the time of their deaths, claiming extraterrestrial involvement. But none of these theories fully explain the combination of panic, injuries, and radiation found at the scene. One theory suggests infrasound, a low-frequency sound caused by wind passing over the mountain's unique shape, that could induce feelings of dread and disorientation in humans. If true, it might explain why they fled their tents so suddenly and irrationally. But it doesn't account for their injuries, or why some died violently, while others succumbed to hypothermia alone in the snow. The mystery deepens with every attempt to solve it. Every answer raises more questions than it resolves. The Dyatlov Pass Incident has become a magnet for conspiracy theories and speculation. Over the decades, but one thing is certain. Something terrified those 9 hikers enough to make them abandon all logic and survival instincts in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Their story is told again and again, not just because it's unsolved, but because it taps into our deepest fears. Being alone in an unforgiving wilderness, with no way to escape whatever hunts us there. I've seen photos from their campsite, the torn tent flapping in icy winds, footprints leading into nothingness. And I can't shake how wrong it feels. These weren't amateurs. They knew how to survive in extreme conditions better than most people ever will. Whatever happened out there shattered not just their bodies, but their minds too. I imagine them huddled together in those final moments, staring into darkness as something approached. A sound, a shadow, a force beyond comprehension. The Russian government reopened the investigation in 2019, but concluded yet again that an avalanche caused their deaths, a theory disputed by nearly everyone familiar with the case. To this day, Dead Mountain remains shrouded in mystery, its name a grim reminder of what happened there over 60 years ago. Locals avoid it. Hikers whisper about curses and spirits that haunt its slopes, and every winter brings new stories, new disappearances, feeding into its legend like fuel to a fire that refuses to die out. I don't know what happened to Igor Dyatlov and his friends on that frozen mountainside, but I do know this. Whatever killed them wasn't ordinary. Their faces, captured forever in black and white photographs, seem frozen not just by cold, but by terror itself. Maybe we'll never know what chased them into that nightmarish abyss, but maybe we're better off not knowing at all.